We're so excited to be here and be with you guys. But I want to talk about a couple of the new pieces. This is my daughter Sarah, and I'm Sue, and I'm visiting her in France right now. So the title is Courageous Joy. The sentiment is the courage to be seen, to be heard, to be healed. I have wanted to make a courage figure of color for a long time, and specifically of African American heritage. I wanted to communicate the idea of being proud, being strong, being aware of who she is and where she came from. As many of you know, it's important to me to sculpt what I already know. In other words, what I have lived, or what what I pull from my own life experiences. Because in order to be true to the viewer, I've always thought that if you weren't honest in that way, that the resulting figure would come out as disingenuous. I was asking myself, okay, so why do I feel so connected to this piece? And how can I communicate anything about African American heritage? It's not my heritage. I have always believed in the importance of feeling pride in your heritage, knowing where you came from. Learning about your past gives you the confidence in where you stand in the present. It grounds you. It centers you.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I have told this my own kids.
My mom would always say, learn as much as you can about those who came before you. She would say, their story is my story.
Yeah, my was their story, and it is true. So for example, to kind of give a little background here, before Willow Tree, before I was sculpting in clay, I was a textile artist. I worked in dyeing and a little bit of weaving and some sculpting in cloth to make artistic form. And my mother, my grandmother, my great grandmother all worked in cloth. They sewed, they knitted, crocheted. My great grandmother wove, I found this out like in my 30s, that my great grandmother, who I never met, wove linen from flax that she grew. And I found all this out, and I really identified with her. She was a maker. She did beautiful work. And just knowing that, it grounded me. It gave me a springboard then for me to create my own works. So these things are reminders. They embody the oral traditions of storytelling, the Sicilian proverbs I grew up with, the dialect that was spoken, these oral traditions handed down. So these things represent, to me, my heritage, the Sicilian culture or way of life. It was a discovery for me to think about that something tangible, for example, clothing, can represent or be symbolic, or even just be a reminder of your heritage. I have always been inspired by African patterning and African cloth. I have for years, and Karen will attest to this, in anything I've ever made, I've collected and I've admired the Kuba cloths, which are beautifully embroidered with patterns, the silk woven Kente cloth, the hand printed mud cloth. African textiles have such vibrancy and rhythm and movement. And these are things I try to put in all my willow tree pieces. I'm very, inspired by dance. So movement is crucial to my work. So I have always felt very connected to African textiles in this way. And I know that many of these patterns are symbolic of traditions and oral history of the African culture, just like my Sicilian textiles. And so why not cover this figure with these lively patterns to express joy and pride in her heritage?